Okay, so I don't know how this is going to go because I'm trying to do something a little bit different. Not just your average after show that I've been doing for all the other videos, but something that's hopefully a little bit more fluid, a little bit more personal, and gives you a bit more behind the scenes. Excuse the bright lights. I'm using the new gimbal camera, which is really way more exciting to me than it should be. But I'm giving it a test because it'll actually follow me while I'm talking to you, doing a few things. And it's not so curated as all the other after show videos. So first things first, I'm going to not even talk about the video we've just watched, because this, I'm sure, is something of interest, what's going on. This is the next video. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that as well, because I think that gives this a bit more interest rather than just talking about what I've done. So first things first, well, let's get all these clamps off, because this is just going to get in the way for most of it. This is how I come into the workshop every morning. I know that on every video, this looks really clean, tidy, well packaged. In reality, this is what it looks like. When I come into the doors, I never tidy up at the end of the day, or I rarely do. I normally come back to something in clamps or something taking up the bench space, and a load of crap behind there that I'm probably not going to show you too much of at this stage. Clamps off. I'll speed this up for you. This 3 pieces of 3/4 inch ply is going to be for testing in the next video, because I've done a thing, as they say in America. I think that's an American thing. I have gone and spent about £150 to £200 on countersink bits, and I'll tell you why. I shouldn't. It's because I'm a YouTuber, and there's been a lot of good videos at the moment about basics. If you watch 5 Duck Studios, he did an amazing one on screws. Just really simple. What's the difference between all these screws? And I realised that I've been overcomplicating my life as a YouTuber. I've been trying to do really complicated things, really complicated builds, and I've neglected any simplicity. Because I was trying to be too clever, honestly. So the video you just watched was the start of trying to incorporate lots of different styles back again. It's because what I've been doing before that, and I don't think you'd even notice, but I've been doing a lot of workshop improvements and a lot of basic builds, or trying to beginner builds, and they won't go away, but I need to add back in some of the other videos that kept other parts of the audience happy. And that's the tool reviews and tool basics, if you like. So I thought, what have I spent money on and completely wasted? Let me show you. Where's my bag of bits? Here they are. Right, bet the camera didn't manage that. I'm over here. Hang on. I'm right here. It's going to take some getting used to, isn't it? Okay, so so I've bought way too many countersink bits, because this is something I've wasted my money on in the past. And hang on. And I figure this is something that people will want to know. Where can you save money? Do you need to buy the most expensive? To put it in perspective, right? This Amana bit was, when I bought it, was about £45. And something that bugs me, that I didn't know bugged me, is the fact that it's only got one width or diameter of drill bit in it. That's not great. And this, it's made me chuckle. This is Magic Box, right? This is 5 of what they say is basically the equivalent of the Amana. Okay? And that gives you 5 different diameters of drill bit, which in theory is better, but they're made from plastic. Or rather, the halo bit and the adjustable bits are made of plastic. So it got me thinking, do you spend that whole buy once, cry once on the Armana? Or is there something out there that will do a good job? I've been using these, where are they? I've been using these combi style bits where, you know, the ones where you've got these things, where you've got the drill bit and the countersink at the bottom. I've been using these, and I don't know if you guys get the same thing, but when I drill into thick blocks, like the one you see here, sometimes the drill bit sticks, and then you keep spinning the holder, if you like, and the drill bit comes away, and so it's left in the wood, and that is a pain in the ass. So I'm about to put them all to the test. This block, everything that I've bought, I'm going to do, I think, 100 holes in this block to test it, because I want to test the rigidity, I want to test the stability, I want to test the bits, and I don't have a year's use in each one of them. I mean, the Armana bit I've used for over a year, and cards on the table, I love it. It's a really good, solid bit of engineering for £45. And as opposed to the Trend bit, which came with the bent drill bit, and I've never forgiven it. So I'm going to put them all through the test, but I just don't have time to do it naturally, if you like. So I'm going to speed the process up a little bit in this block. This block is going to have probably about 700 holes drilled in it, maybe more. And that's going to be my test. So I'm really going to town on this. I'm really actually putting some commitment into this. And that's going to be the next video. So I thought I'd jump ahead and do the next video. Let's quickly talk about the video you've just watched. So 3 tools from Amazon. I don't know what the title is yet, because actually at the time of filming this, I've filmed that video, I've edited it, but I haven't done a thumbnail. So it's going to be something along the lines of 3 tools from Amazon every woodworker needs. Here they are. Well, I'll drop one. Where's the rest of it? Oh yeah. Right, here they are. Where are you pointing now? I'm right here. You... Oh, for goodness sake. Now, don't leave me. Right. So while this one is in my hand to start with, you know what? The plastic one is absolute trash. I said that in the video. This one, if I can ever get it back together, this one's all right. And yeah, I know it's gimmicky, because most people watching this video have got a table saw, a track saw, or some other method of cutting, rip cutting long strips of wood. But fact is, when I was building this workshop, a lot of the, and especially doing the cladding, I had to cut down 2x4s to make them 2x3s, I believe it is, so do long rips. I actually double-sided taped a bit of wood on the base of my circular saw to make it into what this would have made it into. So actually, for the price, if I'd have had this, I would have thought that is the bee's knees, right there. I'd have thought that gets that job done. And there is a time, and I look back and actually, I don't think he signed up to Patreon. Anyway, there is a very long-term member of my community that watches the videos. And he said watching the beginner builds took him back to a time where I was in my little shed, where all I had was a circular saw and a speed square. And I had a flashback to that moment. The moment I got the Kreg Crosscut Station, this amazing new tool that me as a naive beginner woodworker who didn't have a table saw or never was too scared to even think that he could get a table saw, that Crosscut Station opened my eyes to limitless, it felt, possibilities of small box making and accuracy upgrade and all of this. This was the sort of tool that would have done the same thing. It sounds daft, doesn't it? But I put this in because there will be someone out there that will have a task they cannot do or can't do easily and well, that this will open up their eyes. But there's probably 99% of people watching that were like, that's just a piece of trash. I stand by that being useful to somebody. I like it. Then the straight edges. This, first of all, there is no reason to spend all the money on this with the machined square edge. as far as I can see. And if you guys have got any other opinions on this, please let me know. Because I couldn't find a fault on this aluminium one. It's lighter, it's got the tape on it, it's much easier to grip. It'll get dinged up, yeah, it's all of the stuff I said in the video. But this is a weapon. This is like part of a girder. It's so heavy, it's so sharp. It needs the rubber putting on it every time. I'm determined it will be the one I reach for more often because I spent 50 quid on it. But honestly, for the amount of times I've just wanted a reference edge to see if a handplane sole is flat or... I mean, I love it. It's that moment where you need something. I mean, have you got something in your workshop you can absolutely guarantee is your reference for everything else? Because to me, before this, it was something that I've since proved isn't straight. And I know we're not working to machinists' metalworking tolerances, but to have something that you can just say, oh, I wonder if I've planed that piece of wood square. I wonder if it's actually flat through its length. Because I have a habit, and I don't know if you have this, when I'm using a hand plane and I'm squaring off a piece of wood or jointing it, I tip at the end. And it's something you almost have to force yourself to pull up and away when you finish your stroke. And many times I've jointed two boards, put them back together, and there's been a gap at the end where I've basically gone away downwards on both boards. So this means rather than putting them together and faffing around with that, I can literally just have my reference, check my work, and come back up again. So for me, for the sake of 30 quid, I think when I'm building that, not only that, it's a ruler. I mean, it's handy just as a longish straight edge. I think I'm going to go out and buy a bigger one. That's what I think. I think I'm going to find that there's enough times I need a longer one that I'm going to go out and buy one. But these, to me, if you haven't got a square and a straight edge that is... I feel quite strongly about this, I don't know if you can tell, but if you haven't got a square and a straight edge that you can rely on and reference everything else off, and I think you're holding yourself back. I'm not saying go out and spend your money on those. There's probably cheaper other ones. I don't know. Those are the ones that caught my eye. Those are the ones I put in the video. I hope people see past the sales spiel and see into the whole, that's actually a really good recommendation, because that's all I put it in for. This, though, I wish I could find where I put my homemade version, because honestly, well, first of all, let's have a little laugh. A 4-in-1 tool. I mean, it's barely a 1-in-1 tool, isn't it? Let's be completely honest. It is a circle cutter. It is it's barely a groove cutter because of the reference. If I was making furniture, cabinetry, for instance, as a profession, and I, for some reason, didn't have a track that I could put my router on or a proper guide, I wouldn't trust this. As a hobbyist, as a DIYer, and yeah, maybe in a pinch. But this sole purpose of this jig, in my opinion, is as a circle cutter. And if you just buy something like this for small to medium circles, this is great. The only thing I would say is don't be afraid to make your own, because if you can attach it to a plunge base like I did, that's 10 times better. This, I find it a bit finicky with the trim base, because you have to kind of lean into the cut, and so naturally doing that, you're going to have the router bit going in at an angle to then straight. So unless I've done it wrong, which I know this bit isn't normally on it, but it's normally the pin that you put in, but unless I've done it wrong, which please tell me if I have, you're always going to have a slight angle going in, whereas the plunge base, you drop it down, you move it around, drop it down lower, move it around, everything feels easier. But this won't attach to my plunge base. I could maybe 3D print an insert. I could 3D print an insert. Holy wow. Okay, the reason that's just a bit of a light bulb is the homemade version's great. I like this because it feels stronger. I could 3D print an insert for my plunge base that goes in there to give me the best of both worlds, because let's be honest, the markings are just useless from what we said in the video. And I have I don't know the order all these Patreons are coming out because I'm still getting used to it, but I have just received a 3D printer. I am learning how to use it and I have to pay it off with a video, but I don't want it to be a sales pitch video. I want it to be, what can you use a 3D printer for if you're like me, learning as you go in a workshop. Things like this, adapting tools that are otherwise slightly flawed. All right. That was not the idea of this video. This is not a video where I'm trying to brainstorm stuff, but that is still a good bit of kit if you don't mind using your trim router. But if you are going to use a plunge base, then I would suggest just make your own out of plywood, or see if there's one of these that adapts to your plunge base, but I couldn't find one. So I do think everyone needs a method of cutting circles with a router if you have a router, because a jigsaw, when I did this sign had to be done with a jigsaw because it's all I had. This was back in the shed days. And I had to cut the original circle, which is just a ply circle. And even just on what is 12mm ply, I had quite a lot of deflection on the blade. I had to go around twice. So you can imagine when I bear with, I just spotted something. Oh, wow. So there's some wood hoarding right there. This has been 2.5 years. So you can imagine when I jointed this board of Sapele to cut this middle out of, it was quite a stressful process because not only did I have to initially cut the outer circle and get that perfect, I then had to drill a little hole that you can see there, and then I had to cut the inner circle. This is the only video, by the way, that I've ever recorded that has never made it to public viewing, because at this stage, it just didn't feel clever enough. Pretty sure that's the case. Anyway, turns out I keep the offcuts way too long. So this was technically done with a jigsaw, but if I had a router, not only would I save time and gain accuracy and quality of finish, it would have just been less stressful. I'm really surprised this actually turned out to be anything other than a mess. Probably need a better place for it. So, out of all of those tools, the straight edges, love them. I do think that's necessary. The rest, it is like anything, isn't it? It's nuanced to whatever you're making. And we all make different things. Now, so coming up, as I've slightly touched on this, the 3D printer I'm having some fun with. By that I mean I'm testing it. I printed out a boat like everybody does. It's in here somewhere. But also I've been looking at ways that I get frustrated that I can solve with a 3D printer. I've got a really good one, I think. Or it's just my problem and no one else's. Anyway, so there's the 3D printer coming up. That is, and I promise you this, I'm going to say this in the actual 3D printer Patreon video, I am not going to do what I did with a laser. You're not getting 3 videos that is a sales pitch. I'm past that now. You're just going to get one video that is to pay the laser off. And then the next times it's going to be little times it can help me with jobs that aren't going well without it. So that's coming up. You've got the countersink bits. I have got 700, as I say, maybe 800-900 holes to drill in this. I'm pretty sure that's going to be exhausting. I'm going to do that, and then that video is going to be put together pretty quick because there's a sponsor needed for that, or the sponsor needs that, and I've got one lined up. Nothing to do with the countersinks. There's no paid for promotion in that. I haven't got these. I paid this my own money. If any of them are any good, and I can get 2 or 3 of them that are good, I'll give them out. But after opening the boxes, like the magic box, I don't think that there's going to be a lot to give away unless people want them for a laugh. Anyway, this was just supposed to be a quick one. I will show you the rest of the crap that I've got to clean up in here. So let's just twiddle that around. Look, this is how I come into the workshop, right? You think that I'm super tidy. Let's just turn that off. Look, my scrap wood bins are all over the place. Back here, where I stand, is a trip hazard. The workbench, well, I tidied that to talk to you, but here's the embarrassment. I can't believe I'm doing this. Look at that. half projects, half finished projects, more half finished projects, scrap wood, my camera rig, and then this is me and what I see when I'm looking at you guys to talk. There you go. Full, unfiltered, behind the scenes. You wanted it, you got it. I'm embarrassed. So, whatever it is you're doing this week, whatever you're making, thank you so much for following along. Thank you for being part of this. But more so, enjoy it, stay safe, have fun, all of the things that you should do while you're also learning woodworking and creating something amazing. It's got to be double-sided. That's what I'm trying to say. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.